Minecraft Live 2021 is happening on Saturday, and at the time of this recording, we know the 3 mobs that are up for community vote. And there's a lot of interesting practicality between these 3 mobs. So let's look at what each mob brings to the table and what is honestly going to be the best option out of the presented mobs to add in, because I do think that there's a very clear and correct answer. So let's talk a little bit about them in the order that they were revealed. First off, we have the Glare. That was introduced on Monday. And this mob actually would have been really, really cool if it were introduced a year ago. And the reason I say that is because the Glare's whole purpose is to tell you when it's too dark and will allow mobs to spawn. And that's always been a little bit of a confusing subject. I mean, 7's kind of an arbitrary light number for mobs to be spawning in at. But if things remain the same as they have been in this experimental snapshots, we won't have to worry about this as much as we used to, because the light level for mob spawning is going to be reduced to 0. And that's going to be a lot more obvious as to where a mob is going to spawn and where it's not. If they were not making changes to the lighting engine and mob spawning, I do think that this mob would actually have more of a firm ground to stand on. But as it stands with the current proposed changes, I really don't think that the Glare is the way to go. Next up, we have the Allay, which I actually really love the concept of this. The Allay is a mob that can be given an item, and then it will go and collect items of that sort and either bring that to your person, or you can set up a designated deposit area with a note block where it will go and drop those items off. And that is a really awesome feature to include, because as it currently stands, if they're random entities that are just laying around the ground, they tend to contribute towards server lag. Mobs like zombies can pick them up, and when they do, they are unable to despawn. So they just kind of creates a couple of different problems with that. So I think that the Allay really solves a bunch of issues that are currently present in the game and don't really have a whole lot of better solutions, since you don't have an auto pickup feature beyond what you can carry in your inventory. So being able to designate probably the most common item that you're collecting and then set it up in a designated collection area, and then get some sort of hopper system or even a hopper minecart that can kind of run around that area and pick up the items that the Allay has dropped. That really is going to go a long way. And I think that that is honestly one of the best concepts for a new mob that's been dreamt up, especially where all of the mobs presented this year are in a player interaction type sort and none of them are hostile. The third mob that was introduced yesterday is the Copper Golem. Now this one's really interesting because it introduces a craftable mob, which I mean, we really don't have unless you count the Wither where you summon that. But the way it was presented makes it feel like it's something that you can put together in your inventory and then deploy out onto the ground as needed. Now, this golem, because it is made of copper, will oxidize and eventually reach a point where it is no longer viable, as when it fully oxidizes, it is going to become dysfunctional. I highly doubt that it's going to be something that you could prevent from happening with wax or reduce the oxidization by using the right click feature with the axe. I don't foresee it working that way. And really the only thing that this mob brings to the table is it brings the confirmation of copper buttons, because copper buttons are the only item that this golem will interact with, which would then send out a redstone signal and can kind of help to automate some of your farms, but it's basically the same as some sort of random tick speed. And if you are wanting to set up something that does random ticks, you can accomplish the exact same thing with a chicken and a pressure plate. I mean, It might be kind of cool to have something that has a more specific mind of its own and can wander around, or you could set up a fun little immersive area that really doesn't lead to anything, but you have 5 or 6 of these guys running around a control room that you've built up, making it look like you have a living, breathing factory that has little workers running around and kind of doing your bidding. So there's definitely interesting applications to the Copper Golem in what it could provide, but I don't know that it outweighs similar concepts that already exist either in the form of redstone clocks and randomizers or standard mob random input devices that are currently available within the game. So between these 3 mobs, I honestly feel like the best bet is the Allay. It just solves a lot of problems and does so in a very unique and interactive way. It also gives a purpose to note blocks that, honestly, unless you are into recreating songs in Minecraft, you really don't ever see note blocks being used outside of the few iterations where they're used in a redstone machine. So personally, that's my 2 cents on the issue. Is this video going to reach the masses? I honestly don't think so. But for those of you who have watched to this point, I hope that I was able to explain my point of view and which mob I will be casting my own personal vote for this weekend. If you have different concerns about other mobs or an opinion that differs from my own, feel free to leave that down in the comments below. I'm all for starting discussions and talking about things in a constructive manner. If you're new around here, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. I post daily variety content, so it's not always going to be Minecraft stuff, but if you stick around and watch some of the other videos that I put out, you're bound to find something that you'll like and enjoy. But thank you so much for letting me take some of your time today. I look forward to reading your comments and hearing some of your feedback regarding these mobs. And with that being said, I hope to see you in a future video. Thanks so much, and I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day.